The next Sonic game. A topic that is starting to gain interest and intrigue once again. And for good reason. After all, it's been over 2 years since the release of Sonic Mania, nearly 2 years since Sonic Forces, over a year since Sonic Mania Plus, and the latest title, Team Sonic Racing, released a few months ago. So it's understandable that fans are starting to wonder, what's next? But that's just the question. What is the next Sonic game? What will it be like? When can we expect it? When will it be revealed? Well, before we attempt to answer any of these kinds of questions, and before I give my thoughts on the matter, I feel it's necessary to go over what we currently know and how things currently stand. As far as the games go, as I mentioned earlier, it's been a few months since the latest title and racing spin-off, Team Sonic Racing, was released. And as far as the rest of the year goes, we have a new Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games title coming in November. Other than that, nothing. Same goes for next year in 2020, as far as we currently know anyway. However, in 2021, things are looking to get more interesting. During this year's E3, a member of Game Informer met up with Sonic team head and Sonic series producer Takashi Iizuka to ask him a few questions. In the interview, Iizuka was asked about the next Sonic game, which was confirmed by him to be in development earlier this year in March during the South by Southwest 2019 Sonic panel. Unsurprisingly, Iizuka was evasive and did not spill any details. However, when 2017 was brought up, Iizuka responded by saying how 2017 was a big year for Sonic, and that the next big year for Sonic will be 2021, and that they are now preparing for it. A little earlier in June, Iizuka also mentioned how he would really like him and his team to tackle some sort of new challenge for Sonic's 30th anniversary. So, it looks like the earliest we could probably expect the next Sonic game is sometime in 2021 to coincide with the series' 30th anniversary. If I had to guess, probably sometime in November or sometime in the holiday season, considering Sonic games usually release around that time, at least as far as the mainline games go anyway. So with all that said, what do I think the next Sonic game will be? Well, obviously I don't have the true answer, nor will I pretend to. But, of course, I have my own thoughts on what I think the next game could be. I feel the two most likely options are either something entirely new, or a remake of Adventure 1, maybe even Adventure 2. Given Iizuka's statement about how he wants them to tackle a new challenge, I feel the next game being something entirely new makes sense. I know for some, the idea of breaking the consistency we've had going with the Boost games, and having to adapt to yet another new gameplay formula for a Sonic game may not be the most ideal, and may not be a good direction for the series to currently take. I can see why some would feel that way, but personally, I think now might be a good time to finally move on from the Boost formula and try something new. Don't get me wrong, I like the Boost style, it's given us some great games, and I think it still has some untapped potential, so if it actually does stick around, or at least in some form, I'd be fine with it. But I'm also not against them trying something new. After all, we have had the Boost formula for over a decade now across 4 mainline Sonic games, and after Forces, interest in the Boost formula isn't the same as it was with previous games. So now could be a good opportunity to move on and establish a new formula for future games. However, if Sonic Team does try a new formula for the next game, they have to commit to it. They can't just abandon it if they don't nail it the first time around. They have to be willing to stick with it and improve upon and refine the formula over the course of multiple games, just like they did with the Boost formula. When it comes to the development side of things, something that I think could have an effect on the next game, if it is indeed going to be something new, is expectations. With the gap between mainline Sonic games seemingly getting bigger, going from 1 to 2 years to now 3 to 4 years, I feel there is a good possibility that due to the longer wait and longer development time, the expectations for new mainline Sonic games are going to get higher and fans are going to expect more, which is understandable and to be expected. With Sonic Team already having an on and off track record with living up to expectations as it is, I worry if they'll be able to deliver when those expectations are heightened. Forces had a 4-year development cycle, and that game still was underwhelming and disappointing to a good amount of fans. I just feel that if Sonic Team is going to take more time for each mainline game from this point forward, I'm fine with it, but they need to make good use of that extra time, and it needs to be justified and show in the final game. As for potential adventure remakes, I'm split on whether they'll actually happen or not. On one hand, it would be a good time to finally do it, considering Adventure 1 is over a 20-year-old game at this point, and by 2021, Adventure 2 will be celebrating its 20th anniversary, so the dates line up. It would also be a good time to do remakes, considering doing remakes of 10 to 20-year-old games is a trend right now in the games industry. It would also finally allow Sonic Team to revisit the adventure formula after all these years, since the last time the adventure formula was used in a game was Sonic 06, and there has been some demand for the adventure formula to be revisited for some time now. On the other hand though, Sonic Team has never done full-on remakes of any of their games before, and we don't know if they ever will, or if they even have any interest to do so. People have been wanting the adventure games to be remade for a while now, and it still hasn't happened, so who knows if it ever will. Although, going back to Iizuka's statement about how he wants him and his team to tackle a new challenge for the 30th anniversary, and taking into consideration how he has expressed some interest in remaking Adventure 1, I do wonder if that new challenge he's talking about could actually end up being a remake of Adventure 1 and maybe even Adventure 2, since, as I mentioned, remakes is something they've never done before and would be a new challenge for them. Personally, I'll be interested regardless of which of these two happen, and I think both have a lot of potential and could take the series in some interesting directions. But with all this being said, this brings us to another question. When can we expect the next game to be revealed? Well, considering we got the confirmation that the next game is currently in development at this year's South by Southwest Sonic panel, I think it only makes sense that we'll get some kind of update at next year's South by Southwest Sonic panel, assuming there is one. Although, it makes me wonder how much they are going to be able to show, or how much they'll be willing to show for the next game, assuming it doesn't get released until the end of 2021. I feel like we'll at least get some kind of update on how the development has been going, or something like that. At most, we might get a logo, or title, or maybe even a trailer of some kind. If we do get a trailer, I'd imagine it will be either like what we got with Forces, which was more of a full-on trailer, or it will be more like what we got initially with Team Sonic Racing, which was more of a teaser that gave limited details. Other than that though, I'm not sure. I don't think we'll get anything on the levels of a plot synopsis or footage of any kind, whether it be gameplay or otherwise. I feel it's far too early for anything like that to be shown. Again, I say all this assuming they'll hold a panel next year. I think it's likely that they will, considering they've held one every single year since 2016, and 2020 would be their 5th year in a row holding a panel, so it would be unfortunate to break the streak now. However, part of me wonders if they'll even have enough information or announcements to justify even holding a panel. Judging by how things currently stand, I can't think of too much they'd be able to announce. But I guess that just leaves more room for us to be surprised. At the end of the day, everything I've said here is just my own speculation, and ultimately only time will tell what the future holds for the Blue Blur, as it always does. What we do know, however, is that 2021 will be the next big year for Sonic. And I think we can reasonably expect some kind of update on the next Sonic game come March of 2020. We can also likely expect a new challenge to be tackled for Sonic's 30th anniversary. But what about you? Do you think the adventure formula will finally make a return, or will we get something new? Do you think we'll just get another boost game? Do you think we'll get something else, like a Mania sequel or another spin-off of some kind? Let me know what you think. Thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for more Sonic and gaming content and discussions. Have a great night, and take care.